Plot twist, I was the one that hung up on you.
Are you recording now?
Yeah, I'm recording now.
Welcome to Brotherhood, a spoiler-filled podcast where we review each episode of the deliciously nightmare-inducing TV show, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. My name is Timothy MacArthur, the taller brother.
And my name is Dylan MacArthur, the older brother.
Today's episode,
City of Heresy.
The production title for House of Cards Season 4.
I like how we keep on making our subtitles just random jokes.
So I think we have to start off with what we liked so that we can then go into what we didn't like. So,
Okay.
it set nice stuff up.
Yeah.
It was like, I thought the idea of combining different animals was interesting. I'm sure we're going to see more of that in the future. We're introduced to the concept of a rebound. That's interesting. Haven't seen that before. I imagine that that's also going to be important. Is there anything else important that happens in this episode? I mean,
I like the part where Edward... I mean, I wouldn't have noticed this if you hadn't pointed it out beforehand, but yeah, Edward does have a lot of hubris. And now that I know that, my mind is just constantly, like, subconsciously looking at the episode trying to figure out, where are those moments of hubris? And I was like, oh, there's one. That time when he was talking to Rose.
yeah, like when she explicitly uses the word hubris, I was like, oh, guess who used that word a week ago? Me.
Wait, she says that?
Well, I mean, in the translation that I'm watching in the subtitles, she uses that word.
I'm not watching the subbed. I'm watching the dubbed because I think it's better.
Oh, gosh, I need to do that too.
You probably should. Yeah. Are you watching it on Amazon? Because they have the dubbed on there.
They have the dubbed on Amazon? Oh,
Yeah,
but I can't log into Amazon.
Oh.
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
Maybe if you were to help pay for it, we could work something out.
That's not what's going on. We'll talk about we can talk about this off air.
Okay.
But this episode, it feels like a rehashing of all of the same objectives that we went into the first two episodes with, but this time it does it like it pulls it off worse.
Yeah, it does feel a little like this is like a dream that I dreamt before and got old of.
But, you know, we have those revelatory moments of, what do you mean? Oh, his arm is made of metal. You didn't know that. Except we did know that because we saw that for the past two episodes. In fact, we learned where it came from in the last episode. So it just sort of feels redundant now.
Although not every character knows that.
Not every character knows that. And so you can have a brief moment where they say, oh, I didn't know this about you. And you know where that works? Oh, you're the Full Metal Alchemist. No, I am. Oh, you pipsqueak. That running gag, that is fine because we know that that's going to be a running gag. We know that there's going to be a big deal about that. And it's funny because it makes him angry and we love seeing people get angry.
Yeah. Ease off your pain, Edward.
And it hams it up for the audience being like, hey, watchers, did you notice his arm? Oh, it's made of metal. And oh, did you notice the guy in the suit? It's not a guy in a suit. It is the suit of armor, his soul. Oh, you didn't know that, but we did know that.
I mean, if it weren't for the fact that I had told you beforehand and you had watched the second episode.
But we got that in the second episode. The second episode was dramatic and it was so emotional and moving. I don't need to have that same moment again.
And it felt like it was dramatic in the right way. Episode 2, it felt like you were dealing with someone who had actually had a relative die. And you felt a form of compassion for each character and all that, you know, within the episode. But the third episode...
It's insignificant.
It just felt like you were dealing with someone who was crying over spilt milk. Like, they'd gotten a glass, poured some milk into the glass that they'd gotten from the fridge,
knocked it over, and then looked at it intently and said, that maybe wasn't the best choice. Single tear. The closest that this episode comes to in achieving that same emotional weight is when Alphonse is talking to Rose and he's explaining this is why you can't bring the dead back to life and this is why we're convinced of that. We're getting to see the story from his point of view at this point, and it gets close, but it still feels underwhelming. What this reminded me of, honestly, was the Curse of the Black Spot from Doctor Who. I'm sure it would have been an interesting idea, but it doesn't work here. Also, can we make it a law that sci-fi just isn't allowed to provide direct commentary on religion? I have yet to see any sci-fi story in which there is some comment about belief or faith where I'm not just rolling my eyes saying, can we get to the action, please?
They make it sound like every person who goes into religion does it the same. I mean, not everyone who goes into religion does it the same way that the people in this episode did. Not everyone believes in a religion because, oh, hey, you know, this person says I should believe and they say they'll do this, but they still haven't.
Also, there's that great moment when he's like, get them, they are non-believers. And all the people standing around are like, well, that's a good enough reason for me. It's like, who thinks like that?
And even Rose, I kind of couldn't believe was all that.
Rose is so melodramatic in this episode. Like,
Yeah,
I'm so glad that she's not going to be, I hope she's not going to be a recurring character because...
Well, she's going to reoccur at some point, but she won't be as annoying.
But we do have, to bring it back to some good stuff, there is some good fight choreography that goes on in this episode. It has a very strong beginning. I thought that the opener was hilarious.
Yeah, the opener was pretty good.
We keep having these jokes about, actually, he's the Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm just the brother, and it's awkward, and then they're like, oh, you pipsqueak, and that joke has happened a few times, and I haven't really gotten into it, but with this opener, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling this joke, I'm down. We can go with this.
I'm down, I'm cool, I think.
Also, what a disappointing way to reveal that the Philosopher's Stone was a fake. That should have happened at the most halfway through the episode.
Oh, Dylan, you'll realize a lot more. I mean, sure, it was kind of disappointing, but you'll realize that there's a little more to it.
I mean, here's why I think it's so disappointing, because obviously there's more to it. I mean, we are convinced as an audience that he's doing things that are only possible with a Philosopher's Stone, and then we discover that it was a fake. That immediately beggars the question, okay, how did he do that stuff then? Because clearly that's not possible for ordinary alchemists, and clearly he's not an exceptional alchemist himself, so what's going on here?
I mean, it's brought up that he's not very skilled at all.
Also, I knew from the get-go that this was not going to be an actual Philosopher's Stone.
Actually, I'm going to stop you right there. You're actually...
No, I'm going to stop you right there because I don't want to know.
I'm just going to let you know...
I'm going to say that was too much information. I didn't want to know that, but I'm going to continue.
Sorry.
I'm going to continue on as if I didn't know that that's the case.
Oh, sorry. You're going to edit that out? Yeah, edit that out for the audience, please.
Okay, I'm just going to put a bleep there, and I'm going to.
And then you're going to say, I didn't need to know that, and we're just going to. But just to let the audience know, I did not swear there.
I can literally bleep it out because there is no difference between swearing and spoiling. Those are completely the same things. Anyway,
well,
clearly they aren't going to find the Philosopher's Stone in this episode for a number of reasons. Number one, it's too early. Number two, they lay on way too thick. Hey, this guy's got a round thing on his ring. It's red. He does lots of red stuff. This is kind of Philosopher's Stone-y, right? You think he's got a... I'm watching this as an audience member wondering, okay, when are we going to learn that this is a red herring? And more importantly, when are we going to learn...
Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, that was... Anyway.
This is one of those jokes that it's after the fake laughter and the sigh that it's actually hilarious.
It's clear that there's a higher power in this instance, and all that I care about watching this episode is, what is that higher power? We don't get that in this episode. Not even a teaser of that. We just get, surprise, you didn't know that it wasn't a Philosopher's Stone, did you? And I'm like, actually, I knew that it wasn't a Philosopher's Stone because you guys made it so obvious.
You'll figure it out.
You have any other comments you want to make about this?
Maybe.
Because I have one more.
Okay.
And it's about the music. After we recorded episode 2, I started listening to the actual soundtrack. And so as I was watching this episode, I was starting to pick up on those little bits and pieces of the soundtrack, being like, oh, I remember that. That's track number 3 or whatever. It's not as effective in this episode.
Yeah.
And that's really disappointing. Again, it's overdramatic. It tries too hard to make you feel something that you're not already feeling. And this is a mistake that I see so many people making about music, which is that music affects your emotions. It's how people know that they're supposed to feel sad. Except music is not a universal language. Not everybody has the same emotional reaction to the same song.
Like, for example, not everyone thinks of Into the West as a happy song, but they don't make the same connections as I do to Into the West and make it a song that I will sing or listen to when I'm really down, start being a lot happier.
Right, and this is something that is fairly well researched, which is that the relationship between our emotions and music is at most tenuous.
I mean, there is some similarities, don't get me wrong, between...
Certainly you're not going to listen to Adagio for strings and think, oh boy, what a happy song. I feel so pumped today. But the reason that we have such a strong reaction to music isn't because it's emotionally affecting, but rather because it's physiologically affecting. Music has an incredible ability to affect your heartbeat, your breathing. It can convey a lot, but it can't make people feel any emotions. And if the story isn't already making you feel the emotion that you want, music is not going to make it that way. In fact, it's probably only going to tick off people who know better.
Like, if you have a really well-done sad song played to someone who had just sprained their pinky, then you've got problems.
At best, that's comical. At worst, it's annoying.
Yeah, but that would be kind of funny for, like, a Flash video or something. We should do that at some point.
Overall, I found this episode very disappointing.
Okay.
Does that bother you?
Nope, not really. I found it is not the best episode by far.
Do you know what the fandom response to this episode is?
Nope. I don't care. I mean, it's not that I have apathy towards people's opinions on everything, but in this case, I'm kind of afraid I'm going to have to read other people's comments like saying, this episode was awesome, and I'm going to be like, oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, like, in every fandom, there are episodes that are sort of unanimously accepted by everyone to be like, oh yeah, that was the bad episode of the season.
I mean, this episode was definitely not the best, and I'm glad this was not the first episode.
Oh yeah, I would have had no interest.
I would have just not walked into I would have gone the heck out of the door to this episode. I wouldn't have even walked into the room of the fandom.
As a final note, we should probably mention that at the end, we again see who, I guess, are officially the villains of the season. A lady with super stretchy... I know. We meet Elastigirl. And...
Elastigirl.
Jack. Think about it. Got it. Yep. Makes sense.
I guess.
So we meet the villains.
Kind of makes sense. I mean, one of them does kind of have a mind that is only based off of eating everything, which babies kind of do to some extent.
In the final moments of the episode, were they trying to actually hint that she has very little control over him?
Well...
Because I know that at the very beginning of that scene, she's like, no, you can't eat him because it'll upset your stomach. And at first he's like, okay, but then he eats him anyway.
Well, I think the thing that they were mostly trying to get across was that he's, more so than any of the villains you've seen so far, a creature of instinct. He's probably closer to an animal.
Okay.
Like, without actually being part animal.
Also, was I getting it right that she was stretching her fingers in order to off the villain of the episode?
You got it kind of right. It was more so the nails. So she's more like Elasta-Wolverine.
You are Elasta-Wolverine. Pull yourself together.
It was like Stretchy Claws.
Don't forget to leave out the rubber cookies for Stretchy Claws.
Oh, gosh. No.
Want to see him come down the chimney? No, you do not.
She'll kill me. And leave me to be eaten by Jack Jack. So.
Yeah, I just want a photoshopped image of that character as Stretchy Claus coming down the chimney to deliver evil and destruction.
No, even better. In the bag is that fat character. Cornell.
I bought you a present, and he's hungry.
Oh my gosh. My headphones are starting to fall off a lot more.
And then it'll just be the kids from Nightmare Before Christmas. They'll just be looking up like, huh?
And then, of course, you get the jump scare. Basically...
What did Stretchy Claus give you for Christmas, kids? Ah!
Why are you asking us while we're trying to beat off a monster? And how are we even doing it effectively? I mean, who left handguns in the living room?
Oh, dear.
This should be its own little cartoon. Who leaves handguns in the middle of the living room?
This is an abomination.
This should be like its own little show. It would definitely be something for like its own little comedy.
Welcome to Brotherhood, where we make Nightmare Before Christmas / Full Metal Alchemist crossovers.
/ what have we done?
Forgive us, please, for we have sinned against fiction.
We should make a show called What Have We Done? Where it's basically just...
It'll be the B-sides.
Ridiculous.
It'll be all of the random conversations that you and I have that have nothing to do with what we're actually trying to record.
As in, like, you know, and... Yes, we should call them B-sides. Because Brotherhood.
Oh, gosh.
Or bro sides.
No. Insert random clip of Darth Vader screaming, no! Lord Vader, in your anger, you produced the Bro Show. No! You ready to move on to the next episode?
Sure. I haven't watched it yet, though.
Okay, I'll go ahead and round this out. That's it for this episode, so we're all good. I don't know how to close this. Timothy, help. Timothy, close this off for us.
Okay, that's it for this episode. Dylan and I are going to go watch the next episode. So I guess...
We'll hear you all later.
Exactly.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.